Why is it potentially a problem to include your villain's POV? My name is Gina. I'm an author, editor, publishing professional. I help you make your writing better. It's not always a problem, but oftentimes when people come to me for a developmental edit and they have included the villain's POV, it is because they can't think of a better way to show that the villain is a villain. And I would argue that if I can't tell that your villain is a villain unless I'm inside his head, then you haven't written a very strong villain. To put this another way, I want to see the impact that that villain has on the story. If we look at this for some other character, let's say a love interest, do I necessarily need to be in that love interest's head in order to know that these two characters are falling in love? The obvious answer is no. We have tons of stories about characters falling in love in which we don't see inside the love interest's head. Now, I think including the love interest as a perspective character is less problematic than including the villain because the love interest can have their own arc that is interesting and forward momentum and growth and all of those things. But for a villain, I'm much more interested in seeing what the impact is that this character has on the story. You can look at some very big science fiction and fantasy stories in which you do not see the villain until the very end of the story, or you do not see the villain at all. You only ever see their henchmen. And in those cases, you would never say like, oh, well, there's no villain in this story, or oh dear, I wish I knew and understood what this villain was thinking, because it doesn't matter. What matters is that it has an impact on your protagonist's life. What matters is that this person has done evil in the world and other people's lives have been hurt and affected as a result. We can look at some really obvious examples like World War II stories. There's a lot of them out there, and almost none of them, like vanishingly close to zero, get inside the villain's head. We see the impact that this villain has had on the world and the destruction wrought by these actions rather than having to be inside his head, because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter why he did what he did or why he thinks what he thinks. What matters is that his actions have had consequences for a whole lot of people, including your protagonist.